evening and welcome to Face to Face. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh Aliathambi. Is the government making progress as we expected it to? And why is the opposition so silent, as though it has almost given up on politics and given up on its role of criticizing and opposing and keeping the ruling party in check? We have, after all, an election coming up in 4 or 5 months, a major election, the third one, that's a local government election, and probably after that we'll have the provincial council. But it almost seems as though the ruling party is walking through it and the opposition parties are nowhere to be found. Now, to discuss all this, we have with us one of our well-known politicians and cum professionals, Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Counsel, former governor, and he is, of course, the leader of the United National Freedom Front, UNFF, which, of course, will be running in the next election. Now, welcome, Maithri. Good evening.
Good evening, Niresh. Thank you very much for the invite.
Right. Maithri, what's going on in the politics of this country? We don't seem to have much news from the opposition. They seem to be just sleepwalking through the next election as though they've already lost it, and they are simply waiting for the ruling party to win and keep going. Would that be a fair description?
Yeah, I think you're quite accurate in the description with regard to the opposition. What needs to be done, Niresh, now is, as far as the opposition is concerned, all right-wing forces must come together. Now, when the presidential election was announced, I remember I very clearly made a request of Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, Sajith Premadasa, and I think even in this program I have come and said it, that they should get together and form the core of the right wing. Now, if you take the right wing is in disarray. It is the left wing, the so-called left wing, which has now come into power. The left wing having come into power, that is the NPP with the dominant partner of the JVP as a party of it, the right wing is in total disarray. That is the UNP, the SJB, all other people who think that way are in disarray because they belong to one or two of these camps. So the first thing which all politicians in the right wing or in opposition in parliament must come to terms is that if they don't get together, they are a lost cause. So now the presidential election we lost, the right wing lost it. If you go to take the percentages, Mr. Sajith Premadasa got 32-33%, Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe got 17%, 50-51. Whereas Mr. Anurag Kumar Dissanayake got only 42%. So that if they got together, it would have been a game changer. Having been defeated badly there, they don't learn the lesson. They go for the parliamentary election in the same scenario.
But that's the whole point, Maithri. Now, we have dozens and dozens of democracies around the world where parties win elections, parties lose elections. And usually if you win, you don't mess around with your formula because you've won. It's a winning formula.
Yes.
If you lose, you have to do some soul searching. You have to go back to the drawing board. You have to look at your team and see what went wrong, what needs to be corrected. Do you need to put a few people out to pasture and infuse some new blood in? It's like running a company. I mean, if your shareholders find that you've suddenly your company has accumulated losses for the year, they're going to change the CEO, the CFO, the board, the chairman. I mean, it's going to happen, right? Maybe down to the marketing manager. So this is nothing strange. It's nothing new. It's what should happen, and you can do it very quickly.
The point is, Nilesh, the obvious, which you and I see as the obvious, unfortunately, the people in opposition, from Mr. Sajith Premadasa and the others, are not seeing it. Now, actually, the soul searching should come from that part of the opposition, Nilesh, but we can't see any changes in that. The same old people are there, and they don't seem to be interested in doing the role of the opposition.
But again, Maithri, politics makes strange bedfellows, which means that you have parties from various quarters which, in the interests of winning an election, they make certain deals, and that's normal in any democracy. The public may not like it, that, okay, my party has teamed up with another party which I don't like, but that, in order to win the election, they've got to do it, right? So that's part and parcel of politics. But here we had major leaders of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and others, of course, who they went into the second election, the general election, knowing that their formula was a losing one, knowing that they could not win.
At least, Nilesh, presidential election was an eye opener. They see the result of that. Then they go for the parliamentary election. They don't learn a lesson from the presidential election. Parliamentary election, they also get into a worse defeat. Having been defeated there again, now still you were talking about another election in 3-4 months' time. Still there is no reconciliation. Still there is no on the drawing board, how are we going to plan this out? So that is the dilemma we are in. So that is why I am saying, Nilesh, all the right-wing forces, including the UNP and the SJB, and even parties like us now, we have been advocating this, that all of us must get together. If we don't get together, we are not going to be a formidable, even an opposition. So as you very, very correctly said, as a result of that, us all not getting together, we are weak. The opposition is weak.
So it almost seems like the SJB and the UNP are batting for the ruling party in cricketing parlance.
Oh yeah, so because if they are not playing their role in the opposition, if they are just silent in parliament and not doing anything else, then you are letting the government to have a field day. It is only people who are out of parliament, like our party and whatever we are doing, we are the only or the little voice against this government, at least criticizing whatever the actions they are taking on certain things. What is good, we have always been able to praise it, but what is bad, we have been able to, but we are maybe a voice in the wilderness because we are not in parliament. If we are in parliament, it would have been heard much louder, and we could have moved a little more and got these people together. But notwithstanding that, Nilesh, I am still in the process of trying to get all these people together.
Any success at all? Are they even listening?
Well, I happened to meet Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe at a funeral, Mr. J.R.P. Surya Perumal's funeral, which I also attended, and we had a small meeting of just discussion. He seems to be fully wanting to get involved and get all forces together. And in fact, he told me, well, I've stepped out, and I've appointed Thalata. In fact, he said that I have appointed Thalata. You can work with Thalata. They can all get together and work with Thalata. So I said, well, after a long time, you have made a very good appointment, we must say, because she's actually a person we can get together and work with. So he seems to be wanting to get together, and In fact, he said, you all should have been in parliament, and if you all, 4-5 of you all were there, you could have really played hell with this government, because they are making a serious amount of mistakes at every given turn. I mean, as a experienced politician, we must take what he says quite seriously, because whatever said and done, he being one seat in parliament, he was able to become the president of the country. And I must say, I mean, not that we agree with everything he did, but with regard to the economic revival, there was a good comeback, and the comeback was so good that this present government, the NPP government, has not been able to think or bring out anything new. So they are still following that protocol, and the Ranil Wickremesinghe theory is being followed to the letter, and all their big talk with regard to changing the IMF agreement, changing the central bank governor, the secretary of the treasury, and all that has fallen by the wayside, and they seem to be more loyal to the IMF program than anyone else.
Well, of course, they have the reasons that they state, but let's look a little further into the opposition situation.
Niresh, the issue is this, Niresh. Now, before coming to power, their stance is completely opposed to what they are doing today.
But isn't that politics?
No, but Niresh, come on.
I mean, Sri Lanka.
Niresh,
we've heard this all before.
For instance, Niresh, it's like this. Okay, parties bring out manifestos, and not everything in the manifesto is implemented. But at least maybe 30, 40, 50, 60%, give or take, is implemented. Okay, but here it is a case of, their approach was completely contradictory before coming into power, and after coming into power, Niresh, it is like chalk and cheese. What they said before coming into power is something completely contrary, and what they are saying today.
But Maithri, in that case,
yes,
it should be so easy for the opposition to take them to task, to garner the support of the voters by saying, these guys are not keeping to their promises.
No, correct.
But instead, the opposition is still fighting
Niresh,
battles within.
I think the opposition, their stance is so evident, their contrary view, or their double standards, that even before the opposition makes any kind of noises, now I can see the people, they are talking. You watch TV or you watch news, they are coming and saying that these people are unable to do, and all of the fellows who supported them. Now you take the three-wheel associations, the three-wheel that clan, all of them are completely against them, because I saw in maybe 50-60% of the three-wheelers, they had that sticker before the election that they want the Malimawa to win. But now they are the people who are saying that these people have come and they are not doing their job. So I feel the opposition is coming within the people who voted for them, not with the elected opposition.
Well, that's a very sad situation.
That's a sad situation.
Because just as much as a government, a ruling party represents the people, the opposition has to represent the people as well.
So that is what is lacking. And I feel, Niresh, even Mr. Sajid Premadasa, now this is the second election he has lost. And I wonder whether he will be able to, even if he continues, whether he is going to contest for the third election. So now I think he is comfortable in a position as leader of the opposition, and maybe 5 years he will be there, and maybe after that he will have to take a call. So whether they are all comfortable in their positions, okay, I'm here for another 5 years, after that I'll fade away. So these may be things which are working in their mind. So that is not good for the democratic fabric of Sri Lanka.
Absolutely.
That is bad.
Because there comes a time when a politician needs to step down.
Precisely. Precisely.
Because it's not working.
Now see the Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau, 10 or 11 years in office, he's, and I think he's still quite okay there, but he decides to step down as the leader of the party, and if moment they appoint someone, he's going. So this culture must come in. Someone must come and introduce this culture. So if that happens, of course, then a lot of things will change, Dinesh, in this country.
But now, Maithri, between the first two elections, there was just about 6 weeks.
Yes.
And between the presidential and the parliamentary.
Yes.
And the excuse given by opposition parties was, we can't change the formula, there's not enough time.
Change the formula in the sense?
What they tried for the presidential election, that they couldn't change it. They couldn't, get together and form a coalition.
No, there was nothing like that. There is no formula. It is only two minds have to get together and decide that compromise.
Exactly.
It's only a compromise. Yeah. There is no formula. Yeah. If both of them got together around a table like this, all their teams got together and discussed this and said, okay, we are going to bury all our hatchets. We will on a common agenda, 5-point agenda, we'll all agree and we'll take this forward. That's all which was needed.
But is their rivalry so deep that they won't even sit down at a table? You said you have to sit down at a table.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, it's not the rivalry. I mean, look here, we are coming from the same camp. It's the green camp. So our policies cannot be very, very different. I, of course, feel that difference is minute. It is only the egos that are keeping this coalition together, or the right-wing forces to get in together. It is the egos which are standing in the way, Niresh. It is the egos. If they can put away their egos and come to talk and sort this out, I think we are a formidable team.
I think you're quite right, Maithri, because now we had 1.5 months between the two elections. But now from then we've had another 3 months.
Yes.
And nothing's happened. You don't see the major opposition parties going anywhere.
No, other thing is, Niresh, now the third election which we are coming into is the local government election. Now, each party's foot soldiers are the local government representatives, because they are the closest to the village. They represent all the villages, or the 14,000 Grama Sevaka divisions in the country are represented by this body of people, not the parliamentarians, not the president. This is the main body. So all political parties, they have been battling it out. At a time of election, they are the ones who organize the polling booths. They are the ones who organize the meetings. They are the ones who organize the house-to-house campaigning. So, and presidential election, they have worked. Parliamentary elections, they have worked. So, it is now their election, the foot soldiers' election. So, at least if these leaders have failed in their elections, that is the presidential election, the parliamentary election, their formula did not work. Now, for the sake of the foot soldiers and for the sake of the country, for the sake of a good opposition, all of these people must get together. The other thing is, Niresh, if they get together and during the local government, if they change the mandate or show that the people have spoken differently to what they did in the parliamentary election and the presidential election, then what is going to happen is the government will have to realize that there is a fresh mandate now. And that fresh mandate doesn't have the consent of the people for them to carry on.
But at the same time, Maithri, it's necessary for the opposition parties to present a new message as well. They can't simply go with their old.
No, I don't think. I don't think there is need for new message. Niresh. The need is for unity. The need is to work together, not a message. the message we will give, or the message will be necessary only when we come to an election. But now, for all intents and purposes, we are in opposition. So we need to play that role effectively. The opposition needs to play that role effectively. So that's why I am saying what the opposition needs is unity and working together.
But okay, let's say that the opposition remains disunited. What effect will that have on opposition voters at the local government election? Because there's already voter fatigue. Will a lot of supporters of the UNP and the SJB simply stay at home?
No, definitely. That's going to happen. If there is no unity, if we don't march together, you can see even in the past elections, the people who have not voted is quite a formidable amount. And I think parliamentary election, it was worse. It increased. If there is no unity, they know that there is no hope. The voter knows there is no hope. You and I know there is no hope. It's going to be a absolutely split result which is going to come in. So people are not going to get worried and go and vote, Niresh.
But at the same time, would the supporters of the ruling party go out and vote?
Niresh, now that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Because why I say that has to be tried and tested is because the ruling party has failed in all their promises. And I mean, I was a person who campaigned vehemently against giving them a 2/3. Okay. Now the voters, I mean, they just didn't even pay a tuppence of attention to when we said don't give them a 2/3. They not only gave them a 2/3, they gave them 159 votes in parliament. So having given the 2/3, I mean, what more does this government want? Kumar Disarray has been elected as the president. His team has got more than a 2/3 in parliament. Then the local government bodies are all dissolved and they are non-functional. So he has a golden opportunity of putting this country right, Niresh. This opportunity has not been received by any of the leaders previously. No one had 159 seats. And the mandate was a new mandate just after the presidential election. So therefore, having all that, if he cannot deliver the goods, if he cannot bring Sri Lanka to that next level, I mean, there is no hope for us.
But at the same time, would the NPP party supporters still keep faith that it's early days and they would turn out at the next election?
Niresh, 3 months is a long time in politics. I remember 2015 when the Yapalana government came, during the 100 days, powers of the president was reduced to the maximum. Okay. The Right to Information Act was brought in. And there were so many progressive measures almost happening every day. They had that 100 days, 100 programs. I would say 60-70% of that was successful within 100 days. But now we have passed 100 days. What have we seen? What have we seen? We have seen rice queues. We have seen people on the streets slowly starting to protest. And suddenly, President wakes up and on the 1st of January, he says he wants to clean Sri Lanka. So I, of course, say that this is only a camouflage to hush the rice crisis and the corruption issue. Now, they were talking of a double cab full of files with regard to corrupt deals. What have they done? Where is it? So now people who voted for this government was earnestly expecting that these corrupt politicians or corrupt people are going to be brought to book, and there will be a better administration. There won't be shortages. Now President Anukumar Dissanayake himself said, I mean, if you are going to import rice, why do you need a government? Why do you need a minister? But they, having said that, they are today doing the very thing which they criticized when they were in opposition. So, I mean, if the people seeing this are still going to give them time, I mean, these people are having very, very good luck.
Or they're having great luck with an opposition which is non-existent.
Non-existent. So, that is the issue, Niresh. So, I mean, 3 months we have not seen much progress. 6 months we will see we'll face the local government election. So during that time, I think there can be many changes. People are already getting disgruntled, and this government, I would say, is making the same mistakes which Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government made. And now the grassroots level or the lower level of the people are getting affected now. Now, clean Sri Lanka, for instance, if I just take an example, what is the relevance in removing some decorations of a three-wheeler, Niresh? Can you tell me? What is the issue in removing some, of a bus, removing some decorations or stickers or lights or whatever?
All those plastic flowers and flashing lights which they have inside.
I mean, these are people have got used to it, and I mean, I don't know. I can't see how Sri Lanka is going to be clean just by removing. There's so much more to be done, Niresh. I mean, is it clean Sri Lanka? When they say clean Sri Lanka, is it just cleaning the streets and having clean streets, or is it something deeper than that? So who knows it? Who has explained it to the people? But now today, who is implementing the Clean Sri Lanka program is the police. and the police are not the most popular characters to implement it, because they have not been able to do their own job. You
make a very good point.
If you take today, Niresh, I mean, every other day there is a killing happening in some part of the country.
In fact, last morning 2 people shot dead in Mount Lavinia.
Mount Lavinia. Then every other place now in Valigama, in the Mathura district, there is so much of underworld which is happening there. It's a completely like a different state. The police, the underworld are all working together, and even the foreigners are getting fed up, and some of them are just packing up and leaving. So is this a nice trend for us to have when tourism should pick up? Everything should work towards tourism, because actually, Niresh, now last one and a half years, tourism has picked up, but we need to take it to the next level. If we don't get 2 million, 3 million, 4 million tourists coming into Sri Lanka, how are we going to pay our debts in 2025, 26, 27? We have to get used to it. We have to get ready for it. So we have to make a tourist conducive environment in Sri Lanka. So if the police are now, a super thing happened. I got a WhatsApp on my phone where a foreigner has been stopped in Veligama, and the cop has demanded 15,000 rupees, and this was all on video.
I think that particular video is going viral.
Going viral. So what I did was, moment I got it, I sent it to the IG, and I said, look here, this is what is happening. Because 3 weeks ago I called him and I said, Veligama, that Midigama, Veligama, Mathura district is a different zone. The law of the land does not apply there. There is the underworld and there is the police, who are also worse than the underworld. They're all working together. So then he said, well, they are going to do something about it. Well, nothing has happened as at yet. So I sent it to him. So now the police stations are dealing with criminal activities, and they are with the criminals, hand in glove. Then the traffic guys, or the people who are supposed to observe the traffic on the roads, they get hold of an innocent tourist who is going in a tuk-tuk, and they start demanding money like this. So what is the message we are sending? Now that message, Niresh, I'm sure would be viewed by all the fellows who are coming into Sri Lanka. So what is the impression they get on our police? That these fellows are out to collect money. They are out to collect money. So, I mean, this is what you need to clean up. Not removing plastic things in a three-wheeler and a bus or whatever. You need to clean up this system.
Well, I certainly don't disagree with you on that point.
If you cannot do that, Niresh, I mean, don't hoodwink the people with these fancy words of cleaning Sri Lanka and all. It's another very feeble attempt to hoodwink us.
On that note, we will take a short commercial break and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Life's not about lines, it's about breaking free. It's not about boxes, it's about exploding beyond them. You're the miracle generation. Leading the way, rocking a magical vibe. Unleash your vibe. YFM Relax Party.
Now
We are back on Face to Face with Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council. So, Maithri, Clean Sri Lanka. On paper, if you read the Gazette, it's a fabulous program. It talks about the well-being, reconciliation and progress of the nation, fostering social, environmental and ethical actions in the country, while strengthening environmental, economic and social responsibility and sustainability. Wonderful things. And we all know that where ethics and morals are concerned, Sri Lanka has slipped badly over the past several decades. To
the extent whether we wonder whether there is any ethics and morals.
Exactly. I mean, 30-40 years ago, yes, you could walk down the street. You could ride a bicycle on the street, kids could play on the street. It was fine. Nowadays, in Colombo, you don't find any of that, and in most other towns and cities. So, it's a situation where we have gone backwards where our ethics and morals are concerned. So, President AKD's attempt or his intention seems to be sound. But in the execution, perhaps there's been a bit of a slip up. I mean, having the Sri Lanka police anywhere near such a program.
The point is this, Niresh. I mean, the concept of this Clean Sri Lanka and what you read out just now, as you said, it's very fine to hear, fine to read. But what is the face which has been attached to it?
Well, right now what we see are buses and three-wheelers being stopped by the police.
So this beautiful piece of literature, which has come by way of a gazette, falls by the wayside when you have the police going and pulling out plastic things in these three-wheelers and buses. So where does that gazette give the authority for anyone to do what they're doing now?
Of course, the fact of the matter is that the police should have been enforcing those traffic rules under the Motor Traffic Act anyway.
Precisely.
So if they haven't been enforcing that, then the problem is with the police and
and they have not even read the Gazette.
That doesn't surprise me at all, Maithri. I mean, when did a police officer read a gazette?
Right. No. So what I'm saying is, Niresh, whom does the police come under? It comes under the president. Whom does the IGP come under? Comes under the president. So if they are not aware of what the president wants to do, and if the president is, if the police is doing something completely contradictory of what the president wants, or wants it to happen, I mean, then there is something wrong in the system. There is something wrong in the system. So either the president has to come to terms and rethink and re-strategize this and go ahead. Otherwise, this will die a natural death, this Clean Sri Lanka program. I can't see anything in that gazette taking place right now.
And also the fact is, Maithri, that most of our government departments are dysfunctional. Whether you take the passport office, immigration, customs and so on. So how do you instill this kind of ethos into those departments?
No, Niresh, it is all on leadership. It's all on leadership. Now, I am a person who has held the position of governor of the central province. And when I went into the central province, I was under the notion that government servants are useless. They don't work. They are just there to con their time. But when I finished my tenure, or when I finished my duties there, and when I came out, I realized that these people are highly trained, highly able people without leadership. So all you need to do is, all the president and the cabinet of ministers need to do is give the government servants the necessary leadership. If they are given the necessary leadership, they will outperform anyone. I can vouch for that. Because I remember, before I assumed duties, I called all these people and said, I want your support. I will back you all. For all good decisions made in good faith, I will back you all. And after that, we had a few refreshments and all that, and we were talking. And some of the guys came and said, sir, there is a policy in the government service. And that policy is no work, no problem. More work, more problem. So this is the policy. So if the authorities, if the president, if the cabinet of ministers, if the others don't realize this, then they are doomed. So what I'm saying is, Niresh, you need to get into their confidence, because the point is this: most of the politicians have the slightest chance they sell the government servant down the river when there is a problem. You can't let that happen, because so they have got so used to it. But they are always playing on the back foot. They don't want to take the front foot and back, because they don't have the backing of the politician. But if the politician, president, cabinet of ministers call them, give them the assurance, no, we will stand by you, then it's a completely different scenario. I am telling this out of experience. And I'll take any challenge. Any government department, any place in the government can be turned around within 2 to 3 weeks, Niresh. You can make a massive difference, right? Because all these government officials are highly educated, highly trained on state expense, and they are able people. But no work, no problem, more work, more problem is their motto.
So is it a lacking in practical experience, leadership experience?
Both. The practical experience, the practical aspect of it is non-existent. And leadership. You have to give them leadership. You have to tell them, I will look after you. And they have to believe in you. That has to be, that only goes with your how you deal with them. So if your speech or if their assurances are not strong enough, or if they don't believe in you, then they are not going to open up. But if they really believe in you and they open up, okay, I will tell you a superb story, Niresh. I was appointed to the Central Province in 2019, Easter attack, and then thereafter there was Vesak, and government had taken a decision, no Vesak celebrations. I was in Kandy, we had a discussion. I told the state sector, the state provincial council, the secretaries, the top ranking guys, I said, well, this is the place where the Dalda Maligava is. We can't keep this in darkness. We need to see that the celebrations go ahead. I took that decision, and I said I need 5,000 Vesak lanterns all over the city of Kandy. One lady got up, the director of the cultural affairs. She said, we will do it within 1 week. It was done. Not 5,000, they hung 10,000. So that is the time, Niresh, I realized that if you give them the proper leadership, they will respond to any call.
So it's the buy-in of these state
officials,
employees and officials.
Definitely. And I'll give you another instance. When I was 2 weeks down the line, provincial councils were not there. There was hardly any money, all that. Anyway, I was doing a lot of work. I was trying to do a lot of work. I get my secretary comes and tells me, sir, there is one gentleman from the planning department of the chief minister's office who wants to meet me after office in the evening. So I said, tell him to come for. I had an open door policy. Anyone could have come and spoken to me and met me. He came and he said, sir, we have seen you working. We know that you are trying to do something. Any project, we have 750 million rupees kept in various accounts in the provincial council. Any project you want, you send it to us. We'll give you the money to implement it. So Niresh, that's how I got the support. Within 6 months, 6 to 7 months, Niresh, I did work which could not be done for 30, 40 years. I'm saying it, I mean, not that I'm boasting, but this is the practical manner in which you can get this country to move.
So do you see an issue here where, on the one hand you have a dysfunctional opposition, on the other hand you have a ruling party which doesn't feel pushed by any opposition?
I think the ruling party is also dysfunctional. the common word or common what is common among the whole thing is everyone is dysfunctional. That's what happened. The governing party is also dysfunctional, but the opposition is also dysfunctional. So as a result, we are the ones who are paying the price for it, Niresh.
But then what's the message that the voters need to send when the local government election comes along, both to the ruling party and to the opposition parties?
Well, I don't know. I mean, voters, I still cannot understand the manner in which the voters are thinking in this country, Nilesh. They think in very strange ways. I mean,
it's not like the voters had much of a choice, Maithri. I mean, the country, where it was in 2022.
What will happen is, Niresh, with this common notion or common feature of this dysfunctionalism, right, whether the voters will completely have any faith in the system.
So, are you predicting a low turnout?
Oh, yes, definitely. Actually, Niresh, the local government election will consist of about, if they are having under the previous system, that is the first past the fourth, 8,000 wards, 8,000 members, 8,000 wards. So if it is that, what will happen is there are so many candidates, so there is so much of enthusiasm for them to win, so they will get people to come and vote. right? So therefore, there should be a good turnout at the election, because it's more or less a very personal vote. It's a personal vote you're doing it for your person in the village whom you have known, who comes for your funeral, who comes for your various things, who comes to help you when you're in difficulty. So that can be a different scenario. So with this dysfunctionalism taking place, I feel the floating voter, the youth voter, which this government got. Now the youth, this Z generation now, which you call, they thought, okay, these guys are going to come and really, turn this whole thing around, and they had high expectations. Those guys are not going to come and vote. 2 million, 3 million of them are not going. I don't think they are going to come and vote, because they have no faith. Because in voting for AKD, voting for the Malimawa, they thought that these are the messiahs which are going to take us to the promised land. And when they have failed, and when they see that they are incapacitated, I mean, how will they trust anyone else? How can you get them to trust anyone else?
But on the other hand, will many voters still cling to the notion that let's give them more time now?
Well, they are extremely lucky if they still get people to cling to that notion. I mean, that they are lucky, but that has never happened with us, or when we had to come into power, when the UNP was in power, when the SLSP was in, the voters never gave a chance.
But that's when there was a viable opposition, Maithri. That's the difference.
No,
here.
So Nilesh, when there is no opposition, the government should be able to do whatever they want and get away with it. But every day, Nilesh, they are giving an opening, or they are kicking the ball to their own goal. That's, to put it in a very
so they're kicking the ball into their own goal, but they're still winning. What does it say of the opposition?
So that's the issue, Nilesh. So what needs to be done is, I mean, we have been trying to do it. I mean, I don't know whether I'm flogging a dead horse, but the need is for more people to come in, and at least the local government elections, for this is our country, that feeling has to come to the people. They are always leaving it to others to do politics. But if they don't come and get involved in the process, and the local government election is the best place to come and get involved in the process, because it's not a very expensive election. It's a ward, maybe 2,000, 2,500 households. You get 1,500 votes, you are in. So it's a very good place to test your ground, to come and test your popularity and come and do some service to the area. But if this new blood does not come, then, and you can see now, Nilesh, now look at the voters this time. They voted 159 of the NPP guys to come in. They are clueless. They are absolutely clueless. Right? So you will see more fun taking place in the future, and there is no control. I mean, they said that they are not going to use any government quarters. All that has fallen by the wayside. So if the people are going to give them chance after chance, that also no other political party has ever enjoyed.
But now let me ask you a very specific question. Between now, it's January, and the date of the election, which let's presume it's around May or June.
May, yeah.
Right. Is there any chance in your mind of Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajith Premadasa bringing their two parties together in a coalition, not to become one party, but to
I think they should
have one platform?
I feel with the little I spoke with Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, he's willing. He is willing. So it is now with the SJB.
So what needs to be done? Does someone have to tell Sajith Premadasa, why don't you go for a coffee with Ranil Wickremesinghe?
That's what has to happen. That's what happens. Simple as that. It's simple as that. No, and the other thing is, it's a case of, I suppose, trusting and all that. And you can't.
But they're not likely to trust each other. But again, Maithri, You know,
No, the
in
point
politics,
is,
you don't, you know,
correct,
you don't
correct.
have to trust
No, I
each
know,
other.
I
It's a common platform.
No, so, but they are working it on that basis, Niresh. That's the basis, because I know.
So they are not behaving as politicians should behave.
That's perfectly correct. That's perfectly correct. Now, for instance, if it was Mr. Gamini Sanayaka or Mahinda Rajapaksa, I mean, they are politicians to the manner born. Okay, I mean, I don't agree with everything what Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa did, but as a politician, there is a lot to learn when it comes to working together and forgetting about burying hatchets and forgetting about the past and going forward. Power is their main plan, and he was successful. And another person whom I have learned a lot is Mr. Gamini Sanayaka. I mean, he also was a fantastic politician and forgot about everything, got together, got forces together and went for it. So, unfortunately, I think Sajid has still a lot to learn.
Interesting thoughts indeed, Maithri. But I still have this feeling that they will meet for a coffee somewhere.
I hope so.
Or maybe they'll meet at a funeral or a wedding.
Yeah,
that's where Sri Lankans meet.
Meet. No, and that's how I met Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. And I mean, he was very relaxed, and he was saying that he agrees that all of us have to get together. He agrees on that. At least that is a great victory.
But now, let me ask you hypothetically, the two of them, Mr. Sajid Premadasa and Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, they're at the same event. What would they do? Would they smile at each other, shake hands, wave at each other, or would they just ignore each other and walk away?
No, I don't think they can. I mean, it's not not being a politician to just ignore and walk away. I mean, you have had so much. We can have so many differences between, but politicians, being politicians, have to talk, and they are always good to each other. If that is the case, Niresh, that is a very disappointing state of affairs. I mean, after all these defeats, still if they don't learn, then they are not going to learn at all.
Now, let's talk about your party and what you're trying to do in the next election.
Yes.
Obviously, you don't have the resources for a nationwide campaign, do you?
Well, this is an election, Niresh. We don't need much resources. If we can get teams to come into each local government body, it is only 1,500 rupees for their per candidate for their deposit. So you get the deposit going, and then it is up to them to go house to house and get their vote. I mean, there is no need for posters, there is no need for day cards, there is no need for flamboyant TV advertisements. So it's a very low cost campaign, and actually it is the seat by seat which we are saying. Now, the parliamentary election is impossible for anyone to contest, because you have to run the whole Colombo district, you have to run the whole Matra district, you have to run the whole Kandy district. So it's, for you and I, it is almost impossible.
An enormous undertaking.
Enormous undertaking. But if it is an electorate, it is much easier. So the local government election is conducted on a ward basis. So maximum is 2,000 houses, 2,000, 2,500 houses. So if you concentrate in that ward, it's a demarcated area, it is much easier. So there isn't much expense, Niresh. Actually, for a new political party, for any political party wanting to come into politics, this is maybe the best place to really make or get a part of the cherry.
Right. So what's your campaign going to be like?
No, we are thinking, Niresh, of if we can muster the support for each local government body, we will be able to. Now, in 2018, we got our registration 2 weeks before the election, and we fielded about 70 lists in 2018. We got 21 members and 9 were independent guys. So we had altogether about 30 members in our party. That was with 2 weeks time we had, the party was just registered. Now in 2023, Niresh, we fielded list for about 60 local government bodies, and if that election went through, I would say would have got about 200 members. For a small party, it's a sizable amount. So now with the delay and other political parties going into somewhat disarray, what we are saying is, let us all get together and form a formidable group, and show this government that the mandate is different now. That is our plan. We want to speak to Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, Mr. Sajith Premadasa, get all these forces together. See that at least to get the foot soldiers to win, that they will come and unite.
Well, good luck with that. I do have my doubts.
I need a lot of it.
Yes, certainly. And I'm afraid we are out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Counsel and former Governor and leader of the UNFF. Thank you very much for joining us again.
It was nice being with you.
And thank you to you at home for watching. Don't go away. The news is coming up next. So have a good evening.